Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie Wizard. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Shawn Leonard, please tell my audience what your job is and try to explain what that means.
Well, I'm a spirit talker, and I've been a spirit talker, and that would be also known as a psychic medium. And in Indigenous culture, we have another name for it. It's just, talking with spirits. And what that entails is being open and receptive to receiving information from the spirit world as a spirit talker and a medium, for that information to come through and validate, loving, healing messages that come through to help other people. And when I receive those messages, they can be from all over the place. It could be from names, dates, times. It could be events, things that happened, memories that only they and the other person share. For example, I just filmed a 13-episode TV show called Spirit Talker for APTN. And I had one lady that I connected to in Acadia First Nation, because on the show itself, we went to 13 different Indigenous communities across Atlantic Canada. But when I connected to the one lady in the audience, and I was speaking to a young person that was coming through, which I do know her name offhand now, but when I connected to her and her other daughters had stood up, and I felt that she had lost a child, and the child was not necessarily a child, but she lost a child, and she was an older lady herself. But when I connected, the information that came through validated her name and a few other things, and I felt that she passed away from cancer. But she showed me something that was very unique, something that I'm actually quite surprised to see sometimes is, what spirit intends to show me. And when I saw it, I didn't even know how to actually give that message that came through, but I knew there was a reason for it or a meaning behind it. Because when I receive information from spirit, it's not as clear as what many people think. You see, feel, hear things, but you have to kind of in a sense, figure out why they're showing you this. What's the reason for them showing you this? And I knew it was not something I was going to understand. So when I shared it with the lady that I was speaking to, because what I had seen was a young, skinny girl who apparently was just wearing a bra. And I thought, it's not something I see every day. And then, for whatever reason, it appeared to me she had taken the bra off. I couldn't see anything, but it was almost like she wanted me to say she was taking the bra off. So when I told the mom this, they laughed, they cried, and this is the thing when spirit comes through to give a message. Oftentimes when they say things, nobody knows it except the person that is. It's between them and the person that is deceased or in the spirit world. And she then shared that while she was a very slim lady, and they always bugged her about her breast size, and so when she had died, the last thing they did before they had buried her was they stuffed her bra very, very largely. And they all made a joke of it, just her and her sisters. And they went to send her off to the spirit world with fairly larger bosoms. And so anyhow, in the spirit world, the message I got was that she didn't want to wear the bra anymore. And I think it's just they laughed because it meant something to them that no one could possibly know. And I love things like that come true, because then they know the only people that knew was them. And, it was a validation to know that it was really their daughter or her daughter and their sister that was communicating to them.
Why did you want to do the Spirit Talker TV show?
Well, I originally had reached out to, or Ed had reached out to me. I originally had an idea of searching for missing and murdered Aboriginal people. And that, when I ran that idea to Ed from Telltale Productions, they'd given that idea to APTN, although they already had a show called Missing, and they didn't want the show that I was doing to conflict with the others. So they asked what else can I do? So Ed, knowing who I am, had seen me multiple times out doing a live events where I read people in an audience setting. So he filmed it and then did some one-on-ones with some of the people that he had chosen from the show itself, and kind of like scoped and molded the show in the premise of what Spirit Talker is today. And then sent that to APTN, and then APTN, loved it. They wanted to see more of it. So then we ended up filming the season. Why? What? And to answer your question as to why I wanted to do it, well, I'm just in service. My intention is to show people out there in the world that spirit connection, communication is a real thing, and that even though it may appear that we've lost our people in the physical form, that doesn't mean they're still not with us in spirit, and also still able to communicate to us. And through that process of validation, there's healing that takes place for people. And it's you're healing from grief, but there's so many other gamut of emotions that people are carrying when it comes to loss of a person. They have regret, there's fear, there's anxiety, there's all kinds of things people can carry. That I didn't get to say something, or I didn't get there in time, and people carry that they carry it heavily in their own energy field, they'll say. And when you make a connection and it comes through from that person you're speaking to, that energy that you've been carrying, it's like it's okay to let it go, or you don't have to carry that anymore. It's really the love for the person from the other side that is trying to help the people they're giving the message to heal.
So there are other mediums, psychic mediums, from many cultural backgrounds. So please tell me about the Aboriginal context. Well,
the Aboriginal, I'm Mi'kmaq, and a very proud Mi'kmaq person myself. And I feel like all of our ceremonies, whether it's a pipe ceremony, a sweat ceremony, or any other ceremony, is always in connection to the spirit world and our ancestors. And, whether you're offering medicine in a sweat or your prayers, it's still a connection to spirit. And I like to look at it this way with what I do, is that I feel like in a way, this is a ceremony that I'm doing for people, where I don't require any gifts or anything like that, but it allows me to connect them to their people in the spirit world, through myself, and help them be aware how they're connecting to themselves as too.
Tell me about your book, Language of Spirit.
Well, the Language of Spirit is like a compilation of all of my life, of what brought me to this present moment. Because I feel like every single person in the world, whoever you are, I think there's a general plan for us all. And it kind of unfolds as your life, as you go through life, you may see, and when you look back on your life, you kind of see what brought you to where you are today. The failed job, the failed relationship, or whatever. Not everything is bad that happens in our life. And, everybody's on a different journey. And just looking back at my journey and what I've learned along the way, and all the different stories that I thought that, the reader would want to kind of hear about what brought me to this wisdom, and that knowledge of helped me understand what it was, to learn about this or that or whatever about spirit communication. So I decided to put it in the book, The Language of Spirit.
In the show, you seem to give people a lot of peace through your work. And I was wondering, do people you help reach out to you afterwards?
I have a lot of people reach out. I just did an event on the weekend here in Nova Scotia, is where I live, in Wolfville, Nova Scotia, and I've had many people after the show reach out, whether they received a personal message from their people in spirit or not. They tell me how much it's helped them profoundly heal. Even just seeing that it takes place helps people know that it's possible.
How long have you been doing this work, and when did you first notice you were in touch with things that probably seemed a little different?
Yeah, I think I've always been a little different. I've been, as a kid, I always I picked up books that people probably wouldn't look at, on ESP and things like that. And I wasn't sure if it was all real, but again, the sequence of events in my life had led me to that. And it was the passing of my father when I was 15 years old, and in high school and struggling. And a year after he had passed, I actually had a connection with him in the dream world. And he came to me and he spoke to me, and it was very profound. And even back then, when I was 16, when I had the connection with my dad, in that message, in the dream that I had, he seemed to know a lot more about my destiny than I did. Because, I mean, my only priorities then were pretty much just girls and music. And he said, everything happens for a reason. He said, you're not going to know or understand as to why I left at this point in your life. But he said, the greatest gift that I could ever give you from love would be to leave this world to help you become the person that you were meant to be. And I said, what does that mean? He says, one day you're going to be helping people understand where we go and where we come from. And I didn't understand that at that time, and I thought it was just gibberish. But as my life continued to unfold and all the incredible experiences that I've had along my journey, it's really just kind of revealed itself to me. I didn't really even put weight on what he said, but it totally makes sense now.
Besides your father, who were some spiritual mentors to you? And maybe
I didn't really study anyone.
Okay.
I'm going to say this, the language of everything that came to me, and there was a moment that shifted my life completely, and that helped me understand that there was a language that was able to be communicated to people like myself. So I never actually took a class or course. It was something that was kind of revealed to me from Spirit itself.
Interesting. So the wonderful thing about your work is that you show us that death is just part of the journey that we don't need to be in fear of, because we will always carry the memory of someone who was once a part of our lives.
Absolutely. In our memories, we can never lose the memory of the people that we love. You can never lose that. And I think that's grief and grieving and holding on to emotions. I mean, the human mind and how it's conditioned is really, it's the images that we carry about the people that we think of that we've lost. And I think when you make a connection and they communicate to you that and help you shift those mental images that you have in your mind, they know that they're helping you heal and having a relationship with them as well in a way where you can talk to them. I mean, I just show that it's possible. And after people leave me, it's about being more aware of maybe little signs or, the fact that you just had a thought of your mom or dad or your brother or sister pop into your mind, and you think about them and you kind of chuckle to yourself about that day that you did this or that or whatever. It really helps bridge the gap for yourself and understanding that Spirit isn't just with me. I'm just able to have Spirit communicate to me, but Spirit communicates to all of us. It's just most people aren't aware that it's happening.
So do you ever worry that you'll hear something from someone alive or dead that'll really upset you and get you off course from your goal, which is to help people find some peace?
Everything that comes to me, and I mean, there's, in the spirit world, everything comes to me from a loving space. There's nothing in the spirit world that isn't from a loving space. In the higher realms, I mean, there is ghosts. I mean, there's people that have not moved into the space that they need to, and they're still very entrenched with their ego and can be not always the nicest people, but they're few and far between. And I don't run into anything that is really bad. It's always good from my perspective, especially when I'm doing my events. It's people's ancestors or loved ones that are communicating to me.
Well, that's good to know. And Shawn Leonard, thank you very much for talking to me today. What are your plans like for the rest of the year?
Well, I'm touring across Canada. I'm going to go across Canada, and I'm hoping that there'll be a season 2 of Spirit Talker, and I won't know right away until the ratings come out for the show, which starts on February 19th on APTN. And once the ratings come out, I guess APTN will decide if there's a season 2 or not. Either way, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep getting out there, helping people, serving people, and showing people that spirit communication and healing can take place from this, and that it's very much and very real.
Well, we'll stay tuned, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you, sir.